For that grand introduction. I'm here to follow it up with another introduction, and thank you all for being here today in solidarity. Good morning, everyone, for being with us. The energy is ripe, and we are angry and disappointed, although excited that we can all be here together in person to call for accountability and solidarity. My name is Philip Nguyen, and I am the Executive Director for the Vietnamese American Roundtable, one of the many organizations and signees in Santa Clara County in this community that have signed on to the statement that calls for accountability and solidarity in this year's elections. So we, as a multiracial and multi-ethnic coalition of nonprofit organizations and community leaders, we convene this morning to condemn the ways that political action committees, political operatives, and campaigns have utilized and relied on racist, fear-mongering tactics and allegations to confuse, manipulate, and exploit the most vulnerable of our general public for the sake of their own political gain. These racist divide and conquer tactics and allegations made throughout this election cycle to race bait and red bait our constituents distract our communities from the real issues that affect their lives at hand by perpetuating stereotypes and tropes that uphold institutions of white supremacy and oppression. We are joined together in the spirit of solidarity to bring light and build power through coalition and community building, because we know all too well that when communities of color are pit against one another, we become political pawns in a zero-sum game that disservices and disrespects us all. Our strength and the strength of our communities here in the South Bay is and should always be rooted in diversity and our aspirations toward a world where there is racial justice. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Philip. Next up, we have Susan Hayase from the San Jose Nikkei Resistors.
Hello, my name is Susan Hayase, and I represent San Jose Nikkei Resistors, a multi-generational grassroots community organization in the San Jose and Santa Clara County Japanese American community. We have deep family ties to San Jose, Japantown, and ties to the historic Chinese American, Filipino American, and Black communities that were all redlined there together. We have ties to the historic Mexican American community in San Jose and to the Muslim American community. We're proud to be one of many Asian American communities in unity with all the people of Santa Clara County. We give our respects to the Muwekma Ohlone people on whose land we stand together today. And we stand with the Amamutsin tribal band in its struggle to protect the sacred lands at Eurestack. There is a long history of oppression of people of color communities in San Jose, and there's also a long history of many decades building racial unity here. This struggle to build racial unity is based on mutual respect despite different opinions, and it's built on our common efforts to uncover the root causes of our oppression and the social problems that results from that, such as homelessness and police brutality. There is also a long history of political opportunists trying to undermine our unity. As Japanese Americans, we immediately recognized the racism in those mailers. We recognized them as another attempt to manipulate and to politically use us and other Asian Americans against other people of color. The racism in those mailers is part of a larger political trend called the model minority strategy. This model minority strategy seeks to turn Asian American and Black communities against each other. It seeks to isolate Asian Americans from our natural and historic comrades in other communities of color. The model minority strategy has been used by racists to speak for Asian Americans and to presume that our interests lie with white racists. This is offensive. It is a lie. As Japanese Americans, we're very alert to something called a failure of political leadership. For us, historically, it meant that people in positions of influence failed to defend us against racist and unconstitutional removal and incarceration during World War II. To the creators, distributors, and the political beneficiaries of the racist mailers, we're calling on you to strenuously disavow the racist opportunism in these mailers. There is no innocence in wielding or benefiting from racial divisiveness. If you remain silent, that is a failure of political leadership and a failure to stand with us as we fight for a multiracial democracy based on equality, justice, compassion, and respect.
Thank you, Susan. Before we go to our next speaker, I do want to briefly acknowledge that we do have some elected officials here. Assemblymember Ash Kalra. We have Evergreen Trustee Wendy Ho. And also Trustee Tony Alexander. Thank you. If I missed you, please let me know. I apologize. And also, to make clear here why we are here today, it is because this election season has been permeated by race-baiting tactics that are designed to drive communities of color apart. We've seen mailers and language that targets specific communities to make us mistrustful of others. And the example that brought us out here today is the one that was sent out by the Silicon Valley Biz Pac. In this mailer, the face of Supervisor Cindy Chavez was darkened, and the message was put out that the accusation was levied that Asian Americans are being targeted for political oppression. It is victimizing the Asian American community. It is intended to make us mistrustful and hate and see ourselves as people who must compete for power when what we really need to do is come together, find ways to work with other communities and build those working relationships and build the trust that allows us to elevate and uplift all of us. And so with that, I actually want to bring up our next speaker, Dorothy Huang from Asian Law Alliance, to speak to our demands of accountability.
For too long, communities of color have been under siege. We've been undervalued, excluded, humiliated, tokenized, mocked, harassed, imprisoned, beaten, slaughtered. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go learn about it. All of that happening at the same time while being ignored. This still continues today, even after centuries. Again, divide and conquer. We come from all walks of life with countless shades of color and enough languages to boggle your mind, but we're all here at this very spot because we share the pain, but more importantly, we share the hope. Change cannot happen without accountability for ourselves and for others. Accountability is about improvement. It is striving to be better and taking responsibility when you fall short, and it's just one of seemingly infinite steps to real change, but it is a necessary one. To put it mildly, Silicon Valley Biz Pac fell short. In pursuit of accountability, we as community leaders, voters, and members of the Asian American Pacific Islander communities call upon Silicon Valley Biz Pac to apologize for their use of racist and race-baiting tactics which incite hate and division. And we want a commitment. And we want a commitment from them that they will no longer engage in such harmful schemes to manipulate our communities. Next, we call upon them to engage in anti-bias training facilitated by Silicon Valley Council of Nonprofits. Third, Silicon Valley Biz Pac should hire a diversity, equity, and inclusion specialist to proactively invest in measures to hold themselves accountable and to foster values of fairness and respect in their engagement with all others. Lastly, we turn our gaze to the funders who support Silicon Valley Biz Pac. We call upon you to take a very close look at what you are supporting and to withdraw your funding until they have taken these steps to acknowledge the unacceptable nature of their actions and to take responsibility by doing what it takes to be better than what we're seeing today. Every single one of us strives to be better and to do better, and we are just asking Silicon Valley Biz Pac to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Dorothy. I want to be very clear here that today is not a political rally. All the organizations here today are not here to support or oppose any candidate. What we are here today is to call out these race-baiting tactics that have continued and persisted over the past few months. In fact, once we put out our statement, we started getting messages from candidates and from folks who said, you know what, this has been happening. Aisha Wahab, we had some mailers sent from CARE saying that Aisha Wahab has been targeted with the same way, with the darkening of her photo. In District 7, we just saw Spotlight run an article this morning. Bien Doang as well said that his pictures have been darkened in mailers. We've seen it happen in election after election, and this needs to stop. But we are here today, though, to also make a commitment to be better. We're not just calling for accountability, we're reaching out to say that all of us can find ways to work together. And for that, I'd like to welcome up our next speaker, Dilsa from Somos Mayfair.
Before I get started, I want to reiterate that our statements are not meant to be endorsed or oppose any candidates. Good morning, my name is Dilsa Gonzalez. I am the Organizing and Policy Manager at Somos Mayfair, and I am a proud resident of East San Jose. My family and I immigrated and arrived in this beautiful city in 1999. During my arrival, I was bombarded by division and fear tactics from adults that were supposed to be my mentors. They would tell me to not hang around with black students because they were mean, bad. They will tell me that I shouldn't act too Mexican or people might notice I was an immigrant. They would make fun of me because I had a funny accent when I speak English. I was made to think that it was better to hang around with people of my race and not socialize with no one. I started to hate my own color of skin and my accent. Then I realized that these types of messages were impacting me and other students that were part of a larger problem. At school, I saw my own black compañeros getting in trouble in school at a higher rate. In 2011, I saw how my Middle Eastern compañeros experienced name-calling, being disrespected by words and jokes, and adults not using their power to end this type of racist behavior. No one stood up to defend them. This is when I realized that something was wrong, that the words and actions of people in power have an impact on how people view each other and how they view themselves. I knew that something had to be done. I was a teen parent at that time, and as a parent, I understood I didn't want my children to grow up in a divided and racist community. I didn't know how to do this. I had to learn through organizing how we must work in solidarity to create unity across race, class, and gender. At Somos Mayfair, we are driven by principles of racial unity, solidarity, and economic justice. It is clear to us that the current systems and institutions in this country are set up to create division, as racism, prejudice, and white supremacy remain strong pillars upholding inequalities. Our current local election season in Santa Clara has been filled by racist and classist messages aiming to divide and conquer communities of color. We have been exposed to divisive messages that pit Latinx, Asian, Black communities against each other. Enough is enough. We have seen mailers that dehumanize Muslims and Latinx males, labeling them as dangerous and intelligent, vilified and pitted against white communities. We have seen non-profits become targets and market as scapegoats for social problems, despite the organization sustaining our society's safety net before and throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. All of this is not work of just one divided individual, but a long-standing practice of institutional racism attempting to capture power at the expense of our communities. Somos is committed. As Somos Mayfair, a predominantly Latinx organization, to choose solidarity with our Asian, Muslim, and Black and working class families. To stand firmly against these harmful and violent actions, as they are deeply contrary to the values of our organization, our families, and our movements. To shift the narrative away from white supremacy and division and towards the beauty and power and resiliency of our communities. To stand for using the democratic process to address problems at the root cause. Create clarity and push community-led solutions and policies that address poverty, displacement, and justly distribute resources. We want to stand for promoting a civic culture that unifies Asian, Latino, and Black families towards shared understanding of solidarity and a platform that drives us real solutions for and by the most impacted. We commit to educating our staff, our leaders, and our communities on the dangers of white supremacy and its legacy, tied to colonialism, and we will continue with our responsibility to promote the power of solidarity as tool for organizing and social change. And we stand firmly rooted in our mission to support children, organize families, and connect neighbors to uplift their dreams, power, leadership of the community, and to address systematic inequalities. So today I'm here as a compañera, as a unity force, and as a community organizing to ask all of you to stand up and speak up, to do the right thing and join us, because unity is power. Todo para todos, everything for everyone.
The mailer that we're focused on today targeted Asian Americans. And so we started off the press conference centering the Asian American voices to say that this is not something that we will tolerate. But we also wanted to show solidarity, that this is not an effort that centers on one person or one group. It is something that we all have to work together collectively to address, because it is a cultural issue, one that says race baiting is acceptable. And so having Dilsa come out and speak up for Somos Mayfair to say that we will make sure that we do our own internal reviews, assessments, that we will look at our own actions, and to do that within our communities as well is absolutely critical. Because we know that even in language, in our own communities, we hear people say things that are racist or try to race bait. And that's important that we know we are not here to fight with each other for power. We need to find ways to bring it to all of us. And I want to make sure that we wrap. Our last speaker for today is another ally. I want to welcome up Carmen Brammer from the Black Leadership Kitchen candidate, who is also here to show solidarity with us and to show that we can all work together.
Thank you. So as we said, my name is Carmen Brammer. San Jose has been my home for almost 40 years. And what is happening in the past few elections has become something that's just unacceptable. So we are coming together in solidarity as communities who are constantly used as pawns in this political process, to let them know we're not going to buy into their game anymore. We're not going to allow them to destroy us and make divisive issues amongst us so that we end up continue and remain at the bottom of the barrel. So I really want to make sure that folks understand that as part of our solidarity mission, we really highlight voting, because that's what brought this about, right? So voting is extremely important. For those who don't think your vote matters, it absolutely does. And so to that, we have also formed as a coalition, as members of different coalitions, we formed Together We Vote campaign, and we are going to make that be part of the DNA of this county and this city. So that is a combination of Black, Latinx, AAPI, and Indigenous brothers and sisters coming together to get the vote out. Because getting the vote out gives us power. We get to put in there people that we want. In addition to that, by turning out, coming up, seeing all these faces here is incredible. This is a wonderful, wonderful message to send to those who end up being in these offices that we are not going to take it anymore. And finally, we are not going to back down. Santa Clara County in 2020, Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors declared racism is a public health crisis. And they did nothing of any kind of concrete, solid actions of what the consequences are when someone commits racism. And it's our turn to start holding them accountable. You cannot make these empty promises to us anymore. You cannot put just words on a page and think that that solves the problem. You have to start putting action to those words. And we have that power to do that. And I stand here in solidarity and will continue to stand in solidarity with everyone in this community, because we are the ones that are continuing to be the brunt of these racist, wealthy folks who think that they can continue to call all the cards about how this community should be run. So I encourage you all to remember to go vote next Tuesday. And thank you all so much for being here. This is wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Carmen. All right. I want to make sure that we reiterate our demands for today and our commitments as well. We focused on Silicon Valley Biz Pac because their mailer was the most blatant form of race baiting that we have seen in this election season, to so strongly and just blatantly, obviously calling out and trying to instill fear and anger in the Asian American community. And to that end, we want, as Silicon Valley Biz Pac, to apologize and commit never to using race baiting tactics. We want them to engage in anti-bias training with Silicon Valley Council of Nonprofits. We want them to hire a DEI specialist so they can ensure in the future this doesn't happen again. And to the funders of Silicon Valley Biz Pac, which according to this mailer is Solutions Silicon Valley, Healthy Economy Pac, Suzanne Salata and affiliates, pull your money, because your money is funding this. To ourselves, to counter the hate that is being put out there, we're going to show love. To fight the mistrust, we're going to work together. And we're going to work to elevate everyone in this community. And for that, our coalition is committed to we're going to turn out, we're going to turn out others, and we're not backing down from any hate. So, once again, I thank everyone here. I do want to make sure we recognize that we've had folks who come out from their busy schedule, a lot of organizations. We have Tony Alexander here, also able to speak on behalf of NAACP for anyone who wants to speak. Assemblyman Ash Kalra, Wendy Ho, School Board Trustee, and making sure that we don't leave out any other electeds. But yes, excuse me, Miss Bill James, and Naomi. Sorry, hi Naomi. Oh, there you go. Sorry, I'm sorry if I'm missing out. I'm a little bit kind of stressed out for the past 2 days. But that said, thank you once again. I would love for all of us to come together and let's get a big group picture going to make sure that we show that strength and us standing together. All right, thank you.